welcome to another Sunday night flight with Kazaki Flyer 66. Tonight finds us a little bit off the beaten path. We're up in the northern areas of China, where somewhere around between Mongolia and China. We've got some earthquake relief supplies to fly in, and as you can see, we're sitting here on the tarmac getting everything loaded, getting our crew aboard. Colonel Fork has been kind to join us and is going to do some reconnaissance and spotting in his Dragonfly. So let's see if we can actually get everything started here. This isn't exactly my cup of tea without the automation, but we'll try. Let's turn our APU on first. Cancel those warnings, please. Our APU is spinning up now. Outside, we can hear it. All right, the APU is started. Don't have a good eye tracker, so we got to use some buttons here to get to the right instruments, or at least where we think they are. P1 open, P2 open. And battery 1 is on. Battery 2 is on. Should have opened those earlier. I don't want to transfer any fuel. I just want to make sure my pumps are on. Get in the right position. I can't recognize where I'm at. Switch is on. Some of our electronics on. Let's brake. See if we can start number 1 here. It's turning. We're doing something right here. Let's see if we can get engine 2 to start. So we want to introduce some fuel. Which is where our mixture settings are set. Engine 1 is going good. Goes engine 2. Hey, we shouldn't need the APU anymore. We may need to push some buttons just to get our avionics on. Turn that off. Close the door. Our door is closed. Both engines are turning. Our avionics coming in. Get ourselves turned around here. And seated correctly. Put our fuel all the way forward. And let's get going here. We need a map. I do love GTN. Stick it to a window and you're good to go. Now let's get these supplies delivered. Release our brakes. And we start to roll. Check our local weather quickly. Hey, 230. We want runway 26. We're pointed in the right direction. Got a back taxi. They don't have a good taxiway here. Now we'll back taxi down to the end of runway 26. Don't want to taxi down the center line. Don't want to make people think we're landing or taking off. Well, hello, Rigel. It's nice to see you with us tonight up in China. We don't expect everybody to be excited or thrilled, but it's still a fun thing to do. And it's better than some of the other things available to us on a Sunday night. Put our toe brakes on a little bit so we don't get too fast here. I do believe there is a turnaround up here. We'll use that. We'll use all of that. Get our nose wheels over here. Turn around. Sure if Colonel Fork has got his engine started yet. I don't think he started to move. There's his beacon light on. Now we are going to get on the center line, centered up here. Let everybody know we are taking off. Let our parking brakes on for a second until Colonel Fork is getting ready to move. There, he's starting to roll. All right, let's see here. Give him time to at least taxi down to the turnaround here. Which lets me have time to push some buttons. Okay, well, Colonel Ford taxis. Let's see, let's see if I can push these buttons, right? Oh, that's the wrong button. We'll try that. Now Colonel Ford's getting his little dragonfly turned around here. Get back in the cockpit. Okay, Colonel Fork is with us. So let's get our monkey show on the road here. Bringing the throttles in, pop the brake. Load the power. Big speed. 80 knots. 90. 110. There we go. Come on up. She's heavy. Here coming up. Okay, start our circle around here. Out over the town. That's pretty designed into field work here. Okay, we've got quite a ways to come around here. Enough up trim on her to keep her from taking a nosedive. We zoom out so we can see our map here, have an idea of where we're going. Now, unfortunately, this is all computer generated scenery here, but it's still gorgeous. Big fat wide circle here for the French it's a bargain Hercules. The Transall has been in service for 50 years now. See if we can get that autopilot set up here. We'll try 4,500 feet to start off with. Of course, it wants to turn to the heading that it was set for, which is 000. We don't want to go that way. Now it's got to reverse its turn. Okay, we're doing 250. We want to slow our indicated airspeed down a little bit. Okay, we're pointed towards some mountains, but at least we're already higher than they are. If you'll look at our altitude, we're already over 6,000 feet, so setting for 4,500 feet is kind of pointless. We need to set for about 8,500 feet. Back to our map here. We can see Colonel Fork on our radar behind us. Start our turn to get onto the glide path. Okay, we're indicating about 210 or so. We're going to boost that up a little bit. Those big turboprops are kind of loud. Don't let one of those mountains get you, Colonel Ford. I didn't think there'd be anything up here, but surprisingly, lots of rugged terrain up here. There's a small range right there next to this city. And yet another range up there on our right. And off in the distance, some of the mountains even have snow on top of them. Hey, Viper Strike, Cabo San Lucas, great, man. That's all beautiful country down there. And most importantly, it's warm. Hopefully it's not too hot. And Cabo San Lucas is one of the ports we wanted to cover when we were doing our Love Boat tour a few weeks ago. That was one of the regular stops for the Pacific Princess. We're not quite doing 250 knots. Doing about 244. Just our heading bug a little bit. Why I did that? Because I'm a doofus, that's why. No, 80 on the ocean is better than 35 on the river. I'll tell you that right now. Just stay out of the storms on the water this time of year. Somebody posted a little bit of video from one of the Gulf cruise lines out on the Gulf, and man, it looked like the North Atlantic out there. Those cruise ships are just so big, they They don't do the rise and fall as much as a tin can used to. See if we can tune our heading in here right, so that we don't get too far off course. See, look at our map, and our first stop is Jiaguan Airport, ZLJQ. No localizer, but they do have a VOR there. It's not the longest range VOR. And the sim radius is 38 nautical miles, 114.5. They're giving, the METAR there is giving IFR conditions, 260 degrees at 1 meters per second, 4,000 feet broken, few clouds at 10,000, scattered at 16, overcast at flight level 040. So the weather isn't going to stay this nice the closer we get to where we're going. As long as it gives us enough room to get this bird into the ground, that's all it counts. We've got a bunch of medical supplies and blankets and plastic sheeting to deliver. This is where they should have come to film Arakeen, the city behind the shield wall on Arrakis. Let's see if we can get some, I feel like Scottish radio. At least we're not playing bagpipes. Something new. Well, not new, but hopefully not overdriving. try that. Look out the window here. That is one big plane. That's AIN instead of ANE. The American version of this aircraft had 2 more engines, the C-130. And this is the kind of aircraft that the captain at the beginning of Top Gun was threatening Maverick with. Long, boring flights over the ocean to Hong Kong. We don't have anything from J.D. Smith catalog in aboard today. We're more interested in delivering the emergency supplies, and we're glad we don't have to go south. Look at that mountain range off in the distance. It is capped with snow. Probably the top side of the I can speak English, Himalayas. Ground is rising to our south. Check our map and see how far we'll have to climb to get over this. Okay, we're at 8,500 and the ground's the climb rate says you better get to 9,500 feet. We'll take it up 1,000 feet. All right. Those water channels down there have probably been there for decades. I don't think they get much rain up here. First off, the altitude's fairly high. Second, it's the desert. Oh, we've got 2 friends back here. Kapustik went and got the SU. We're back in FS 2004. That aircraft was all the rage. I think I even featured it in one of my early FS 2004 movie or video attempts. They flew it around in a thunderstorm in the Alps. Yeah, those mountains do look pretty high up there. Our terrain following radar is saying, do not turn south. Matter of fact, if anything, you might have to turn north to get a little bit away from these mountains. Ooh, a spot of green in all this desert along that river down there. And that is one big wind farm. Okay, that cough at least delayed enough to get the mic muted long enough. I'll bet you there's some good fishing in that river. And we're going to stay north of course here and stay out of those rocks as much as possible. So we're moving at approximately a 300 knot ground speed. So we'll be to our first stop in about 15 minutes. And heaven willing, we'll land, unload some cargo. Distribute some supplies, and then head on to our last stop. And they'll get the rest of the goodies. There are easier ways to get into China, flying across the Pacific to Shanghai or to Hong Kong itself. But we're coming in the back way tonight because, well, this is closer to where they need the earthquake relief. kind of sporty down around the ocean right now. We're the Red Cross. We don't give a crap about politics. What they want to do to their own citizens is their own business. We may not like it, but it's their business. The people don't like it, change the policy. American Southwest, I'd say that's the very definition of a wadi down there, a dry riverbed. Get back inside if we can figure out our cameras here. Hey, we're still 2,000 feet above the ground, so that's doing pretty good. Airports are kind of scarce up here. This literally does feel like the roof of the world. Now there's a place that might mark that on the map, because there's a canyon that needs to be checked out with a much slower aircraft. Just because I fly the Mach Loop in this aircraft doesn't mean I'm anxious to take it into canyons like that. Now, the trainer aircraft may be called a tweet, but all I ever saw them referred to and called was dragonflies. Actually got to see the Canadian snowbirds flying the civilian version of those aircraft. I was used to the 5 aircraft of the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels. Those guys came down and there were 9 of them. They're flying abreast in side-by-side formation. That's a lot of aircraft in the sky at once. They lay down smoke, that's a lot of smoke. Something's changing. The ground is greening up. So they're either no, they've got a river. That's why, and then they're from the river. They're sending the water out to help cultivate crops. So this ain't exactly the time of year. Now there's a pretty good sized city on the side of that river. There's the poor satellite tiles doing their thing. They can't help it, they're doing their best. They call these dragonflies, but the one that really looks like the dragonfly is the ornithopter. That's a skill. I just can't master that side-by-side stuff. Oops. Let's watch out for this hill up here. We're at 26 miles out. And our airport elevation is 5,102 feet. So we don't have to descend much. The ground's coming to meet us. We'll wait till we get past this little range of hills, and then we'll descend sharp. Get our chairs scooted up here. Now our feet are back on the pedals. At least we're going to clear this hill area, I think. Hang tight, Colonel Fork. This is going to get bumpy. Okay, 17 miles out. There's a power plant up there, or a factory of some kind. I see cooling towers. Throttle's coming back a little bit. Okay, we're passing over the foothills. And down we go. I think we can see the airport out there. It's a lot of cooling towers. Not only one here, there's just a couple of miles away, there's even more of them. Hey, the map says we're 6 miles away. My airplane, autopilot off. Onto the map. Yeah, well, that do be the airport. Okay, I want runway 32. At least I think so, yeah. 260 at 1 meter per second. Yep. Picking out our turning point on the horizon up there. Okay, gear down. Start our turn. Bring some throttle back in. Kick our rudder over. There's the airport. Bring her around. Flap. Start throttling back. Line her up. Take the rudder over. Okay, we're down. Gauge reversers. Take out the reversers. And let's taxi over here to the terminal and unload some gear. And here comes Kapustik in for their landing. Got the parking brake. And let's open the ramp here. Now we can drive the forklift right on and pick up the pallet. Let's see, get back in the cockpit, please. We'll take off the pallet. It leaves the boxes and barrels to continue their flight. I think I'm going to have to pick up that Su-27. If it looks as good as it did back in FS9 and FSX, it'll be nice to have. Okay, that pallet's out. At least we've got the other pallets tied down and ready to go. Let's get our doors closed here. The ramps are closing. Excellent. Check fuel, please. They need to call a fuel truck. Yeah, I think we've got enough. Only another 125 miles to our next stop. Okay, release the parking brake. See how tight a turn we can make here. Well, there's a taxiway up there. Excellent. Well, if this airport isn't lit, it should be. They've got looks like they've got a good supply of irradiated Smurfs here. That is a lot of cooling towers. Another airport. We've got to do some back taxiing because they don't have the ramps for the for taxiways here. Hopefully they do have a turnaround down here. Oh, they do. How nice of them. Okay, here we go. We're hitting the turnaround now. Lock that right brake. Power to the left engine. Here comes Colonel Ford. Lock our brakes down until they get down here. It was a lot more crosswind landing than I thought it was. It said 1 meter per second. That's a pretty good lick of wind. We're at least a little bit lighter, so shouldn't take as long of a run to get airborne this time. They're fighters, Kapustik. You can come on down. Despite what's showing up on my screen, I know it's a fighter. I don't have the Hawk. And every time somebody flies around in a Hawk, the 320 is what I see. Engine's coming up. Release the brakes. And toga power. $60, $70, $80, $90, $100 knots. Start to lift. And up we go. Gear coming up. Start our turn. Let's reverse our turn. I'm going to be a tourist. I want a closer look at the cooling towers over here. Lots of greenery around that creek bed over there. Little riverbed area. There, everybody's up. Boy, those mountains are intimidating. Picturesque, though. This place would really benefit from photogrammetry, but the computer is doing its best. And we're level at 10,100 feet. Turning back toward course. Ease our throttles back a little bit. Pretty good sized population zone up here for being so far out into the wilderness. There's nothing up here except this huge city area. Right, there we're passing our magenta line and turning on to course. our next and last stop's 22 minutes away. I hope it's I don't know if it's either right before or right after that mountain up ahead of us. Yeah, this is the risk-free tourist flight. The high-risk tourist flight flies a lot closer to those mountains. They have the advantage; they're pretty straight, and there's no foothills. They just jump right out of the plane. I can see the suction cup in the window for my EFB. The paint job on this C-160 is just so excellent. Even as a generic jet, Kapustik is a legendary flyer. Look at that. That's so smooth. Looks like we're getting back out in the desert. Somebody's scrambling for crops out here, though. That's so cool. Love that. I just never get tired of it. Went for the need to check my course here. I'd stay out and view. C-60 just chugs right along. You don't mind. You'll carry that cargo through wind, rain, or fall. check my map and see if I might have to climb up over this mountain. It says we're clear. We'll see when we get there. I push some buttons over here again. That's a short-term solution. Not have quantity of company, but I sure do have quality company. That is excellent. And I'm thinking my map is lying to me. Those mountains are starting to look pretty tall. We may end up having to play duck 'em and dodge 'em here. It's important that we deliver these earthquake supplies. Okay, let's see. Keep watching out that window and make sure they don't get too close. Yep, I think our airport is on the other side of that mountain. Does the map even have a peak marker on it? No, I'm not seeing any peak markers on here. I've seen a couple of nature preserves and such. No peak marker. Looks like the bear is going to go over the mountain and have to dive to find the airport. Oh boy. Let's see if we can find decent tunes. Wee! That's funny. I didn't pay for a first class ticket. Yep, we are pointed right at that mountain peak. And that would figure that our maps aren't as accurate as we would like. No, Kapustik, I do not have a Discord of my own. I just haunt Two-Tone Murphys all the time. Back a few years ago, we had a Discord, but well, that was for World of Warships and World of Tanks. And well, since my stroke, I don't play those anymore because I just can't. I can't use the mouse and keyboard anymore, and they're not exactly user friendly. Oh, now that's okay. We're going off to the. Looks like we're headed off to the north. These hills, excellent. I was thinking we were going to hit them head on. Oh man, that's hard to. Yeah, that'll be nice if DC does release a 27. I'm sad to hear that the Demos one has a horrible flight model. How's the actual aircraft model look though? Is it FSX or is it at least worthy of being in this sim? Like for freeware, that Dragonfly back there with Colonel Fork is an excellent model. Well, I'll hold out for the DC one if they're making one. What I'm holding out really right now for is the B-17. I'll tell you that right now. Lancaster B-17, those are going to be my next flight sim purchases. As long as their sim updates don't break anything else, we're good. Well, I got to admit, I got the MiG-29, and I was, well, I like the outside model, but the flight model was lacking. Even the DC models are much better. They're not an in-depth deep dive into a fighter aircraft, but they're not meant to be. They're meant for the flyer like me, who's more of a casual user. Like as detailed as the C-160 is, you saw how many steps I skipped to get her going today. Yeah, you're right. China doesn't. They forgot to steal those blueprints. Of course, the 29 is 30 years old now. And I don't think it held its replay value as well as the F-15 did. The Eagle is eternally adaptable. We've got 4,000 feet to play with. Let's take her down to 7,500 feet. Pull the throttles back. Get back on the map page so we don't get lost. I'd hate to get lost in this part of the world. You'd never find yourself. Of course, there's probably a lot of folks that come up here just to find themselves. I'd want some long johns to do it, though. This ain't exactly a summer resort. There's a pretty good sized city up there. Bet you this highway's going where we're going. That wouldn't take much. See what runways we've got to choose from here. It's a paved runway. We have 11 and 2-9er. Winds are calm, so we'll try for the direct in approach. We'll use runway 11. Airport altitude is 5,195 feet. So we've got 2,000 feet to play with here. Hope it's daylight for folks, because I do not think this place is lit. 'Cause 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 You wanna fly a difficult approach, folks. Uh, Now I downloaded the scenery special for this. I downloaded the Quai Son Airport in Vietnam, and you want to talk about a difficult approach? I don't care which direction you're coming from. You got choices for two approaches. One is over the top of a hill with a descending slope on the runway, and the uphill slope on the runway, it comes up a valley. Very difficult approaches. How does that look? How's that going to look, I should say? You come left a little bit and get lined up. There's the airport. We're going to take off the autopilot now. Start dropping altitude here. And speed. Get those gear out. Flaps. A little bit of power back in. Another notch flat, please. Straighten up here. We're down to 120 knots. $500 feet. Fingers crossed. Don't choke, don't choke, don't choke. Sterile cockpit here. $300 feet. $200 feet. Looking good. Please, no dust. Throttle's off. Nice, gentle touchdown. Bring the reversers out. Reversers off. Where's the facilities at here? Flaps up. Okay, they're coming up to them. They're down at this end of the runway. I'm on 2 yurts and a fuel truck do not count as facilities. Okay, I'm clear of the runway. Everybody proceed with their landings. We can miss that windsock. Set the brake. Comes Colonel 4. Nice gentle landing, Colonel 4. Beautiful. This LRM, now that I don't have a huge crowd affecting it, because I had a hard landing. Too bad. I thought it was nice. Pushed it with a nice, well, a little bit of a bounce, but it's still good. Nice solid descent and stop. Fast stop. Now let's unload our cargo here. Up the ramp. We'll unload the boxes first. There's a pallet of boxes. Then a pallet of barrels. That leaves our 4 C-160 kind of empty for the long trip home. Well, it wasn't much of a flight tonight. It was kind of quick. But at least we got pretty countryside. We had some good friends come with us. And tonight we may tackle that difficult approach back into Quezon again. Only this time here in the C-160. The last time I tried it, it was with the Caribou. We'll up the game. So if you see me on the servers practicing in Vietnam, you'll know what I'm up to. So from ZDOO, we're going to say goodnight, and let's check and see who's on the raid. We've raided Conti twice, so we're just not. There's not many people on that we're wanting to raid tonight, so we'll just pass and wait till next week. Not sure if it was working right last week anyway. So we want to say good night. Thank y'all for coming with, and hope you've enjoyed the scenery up here in northern China as much as I have. It may not be photogrammetry, but it's very interesting to look at. Let's see if I push some buttons right here.